In today's show, what we learned from the Trailblazers in Vegas and where they go from here now that Summer League is wrapped up. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making the show your first listen, coming at you Monday through Friday, every single weekday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Tell your friends to do the same. Make it your first listen. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we are talking lessons from Summer League and what comes next. Portland wrapped up its there, I guess, is what we use in this country. The Blazers wrapped up their run in Summer League on Sunday with a loss to the Miami Heat in a consolation game, their fifth and final game in Vegas. They kind of got thrashed by the Heat. The game was close until the third quarter. The Blazers got outscored 28-7 in the third, and that was that. Summer League ended with a whimper, not with a roar. But I want to talk about kind of what we saw in Vegas, what that means for the future, where the roster stands, and then I want to talk about some moments I enjoyed from Vegas because, you know, if they're there for a week, and we got to watch them for a week, and I think there was some meaningful stuff and some really enjoyable stuff, and I want to share that to close the show. It, like I said, ended with a whimper. They got throttled in that third quarter and lost the Miami Heat. The games don't matter. Like if they win the championship, it matters. But if they lose, then you can just dismiss it outright. Doesn't matter. Meaningless entirely. Maybe there was some poetic justice by the Blazers getting, or I don't know. Maybe there was something poetic. Justice is probably not the right word, but the Blazers getting thrashed by the Miami Heat. Orlando Robinson, Heat big man had a monster game, and if you're dreaming of including him in your Blazer deal, here's the problem. Orlando Robinson signed a contract this summer, and free agents who sign standard NBA deals can't be traded till December 15th. Are the Blazers going to hold up a deal with the Miami Heat over Orlando Robinson until December 15th? Hopefully not. He's good though. He'd be the Blazers' second best center right now, like by a mile, considering that the second best center they have on the roster is Ibubaji. But this is not a show about necessarily specifically the sort of Damian Lillard and the Miami Heat. This is more about the Blazers in general. I think what typically, I've done this podcast for many moons, about 5 years. It is typically what we do at the end of Summer League is like, okay, here's what we learned and here's what's next. And there's like, okay, this guy, like back in 2017 was Caleb Swanigan, right? Caleb Swanigan played well enough in Summer League to earn a legitimate chance to be in the rotation in the fall, right? Like that's a young man that looked solid in Summer League, deserves absolutely a chance to play. Or it's guys who are kind of on the edge of the rotation who like they, are in the rotation, but the Blazers need them to take a bigger step forward, like a Pat Connaughton or an Alan Crabb who've been there in the past, and the Blazers like, yeah, okay, they're gonna really get there, and they're gonna be really good, and then it's gonna propel them to take that next big step forward after they do it. Pretty much the roster guys who participated in this for the Blazers, based on what the roster looks like right now, are just going to play. Like there isn't like, oh, maybe Jabari Walker earned himself minutes. Jabari Walker earned himself minutes by just the state of the roster. Chris Murray, he looks, he has some limitations, but he's like knows how to play basketball, plays hard, plays smart. He kind of has to play. Scoot Henderson, gonna play. Shane Sharp, gonna play. The non-roster guys, I don't think John Butler Jr. has a spot in the rotation. Ibubaji would have to play because they don't have another center, but I can't imagine they let that become the case. Those are two-way guys. Keon Johnson didn't play in Summer League. Would have been nice to see where he fits. Like the Blazers are kind of already a little crowded at the guard spots, but throw Keon into the mix. But like, just judging by where they stand now, like typically you would say, okay, here's what the roster looks like. The roster looks incomplete. Well, so it's kind of what I want to talk about, but like the roster just looks incomplete. So leaving Vegas, here's what we know. I think Scoot Henderson here's what's hanging over the team. The future of Damian Lillard is murkying up the entire waters. is Dame going to be on the roster? If he is on the roster, is he going to be involved, right? Like, or is he going to get plantar fasciitis and just miss a little bit of time and then magically heal up 3 weeks before he gets traded or something, right? Like, what's the Dame situation? And that's like, and the way this breakup is going to go is just, it's clouding the future of this team. So I'm going to move forward in this show, kind of assuming that Dame is not involved in the plan. If Dame's there, he's by far the best player on the team. Like, he's an all-time great player in franchise history. Like, it makes things a little trickier, but I'm going to move forward, like, because I assume that Damian Lillard will be traded sometime in like late August or September. They'll finally send him to Miami. But like, so here's kind of where things stand if you were to assume that Damian Lillard is involved in it. I think Scoot and Ant are your starting backcourt. I don't think every time is just better than Shaedon Sharpe like this. So you want to play a better player, and Scoot Henderson is the point guard. He's absolutely the point guard. Matisse Thybulle, Jeremy Grant, and Yusuf Nurkic. That's your five. I don't think that's. You could argue like Shaedon Sharpe has a star, but you can't argue that he is better than those players. You could argue he's better than Matisse Thybulle, but he's not. He's going to play more minutes than Matisse. I've mentioned this a bunch. That I view Matisse Thybulle as the perfect low minute starter. I think he's going to be that. Off the bench, Shaedon Sharpe's going to play a bunch, 30-some minutes a night. Nassir Little's going to play. Jabari Walker's going to play. That's 8. Of the non-Dame, they only have 2 more guys. Keon Johnson, I don't really see a role for him. Chris Murray has to play. The people who can conceivably play forward on the roster: Matisse Thybulle, Jeremy Grant, Nassir Little, Jabari Walker, Shaedon Sharpe. Shaedon's going to play a little bit too, because he's going to have to, because there's spots there. So, like, no one earned minutes in Summer League. They earned minutes by being on the roster. This is why I kind of think a trade is inevitable for the Blazers. If they were really preparing to say, hey, we're just going to do it. We're just going to move forward. We're done sort of like considering this trade stuff. The deal stinks for Miami and we're out of here. Like, they would have just added one other player, or, a couple other minimums here or something, or some non-guaranteeds, like, and move forward with a roster that is like much closer to full. And they might do that here. Like, it's the middle of July. They might do that here as free agency wraps up at the end of July and into August. August is typically in the NBA, like a vacation month for the league. So we will see. But like, training camp starts, or media day is October 2nd. Training camp is going to start October 3rd for basically the entire NBA. So I assume they will get it wrapped up sometime in September. Like, if you're scoring at home, the Donovan Mitchell trade happened in September. If there is a Donovan Mitchell-like scenario where a Magic team swoops in and trades for Dame, that's a good news for the Blazers. I personally don't think that's particularly likely, but I guess that's what you should be rooting for, is that another team swoops in with a bunch of assets and makes the Blazers whole, unless you really are into Nikola Jovic, and then congrats. I got great news for you. He might be a Blazer pretty soon. But like, Summer League is typically the time we say, here's the young guys and here's where they're going to fill in. The Blazers roster, just like, this is what it is. So what else do they need? Assuming this is the situation, these 10 guys plus Dame, even if you include Dame, 11 players with 4 roster spots open. The NBA has a new rule this year. You can dress 15 for every single game. No reasonable team plays more than 10. No NBA team plays more than 11. Last year, the Houston Rockets would play 12 on a lot of nights. Steven Silas got fired in related news. Even if they do nothing and Damian Lillard opens camp, they need more bodies. Let's talk about who those bodies have been rumored to be, and just in general what that might look like in the second segment. First, I want to tell you about PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made easy. I play PrizePicks on my phone, on the app, but you can also play it on PrizePicks.com. And how it works is you're picking entry of players in whatever sport you want. You can even mix and match sports, and you go over or under the projections set by PrizePicks. So I play basketball, and the stat lines they're setting are points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. I'm not I'm not confident enough in my sports knowledge to go outside of the NBA. But if you're looking to go outside the NBA, you can do that because they got every sport you can imagine. Like I said, you can mix and match sports. So if you're feeling good about a soccer bet and you also want to get on WNBA this summer, right there for you. MLB, WNBA crossover, right there for you on the PrizePicks app. And if you're a first-time user, you can go to PrizePicks.com or download the app and use the promo code LOCKEDON to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. That means you put in $100, they'll match you $100. If you put in $50 to get started, they will match you with $50. So make sure when you sign up to use that promo code LOCKEDON. All right. So like I said, we didn't say anything. The royal we. I said. Blazers got 10 guys plus Dame. So let's call it 11. If Dame is there and playing on opening night, one, it's just going to be weird, but two, like it does make the rotation a little more complicated. But if he isn't, and obviously like if they do complete a trade, there's going to be 2 or 3 players coming back to the Blazers, and based on the sort of state of their roster, both of those folks are going to play. If it's 3 people who come back, those probably all those dudes will be in the rotation just because like based on what it looks like. But regardless of what they do, they have 11 guaranteed roster spots. Still, they're full MLE. They're not going to use the full MLE. They're not going to pay someone a whole bunch of money to come in and play for this team. They are building, like, one of the other reasons is, like, to me, pretty clear and obvious that they're just like eventually they're heading into a rebuild regardless, because like look at the roster. Even if you think Matisse Thybulle and Jeremy Grant are like win now type pieces, which they are, like they're adults. Jeremy Grant is in his prime, or you could even argue like facing the last couple seasons of his prime, but like certainly in his prime. And Matisse Thybulle's 26, like heading right into it. But like Thybulle on his own is like a borderline NBA starter. Jeremy Grant is like a totally good NBA player, but he's not like a tier 1 type of star that's going to lead you to the promised land. Avery Simons might be really good. Like he's a very good offensive player. If he even gets a little bit better on defense, he's going to be really good. He's 24. He's got a chance to be a very, very good player in the NBA still. I think there is an idea that maybe that Ant is like sort of a finished product. And I do think that Avery Simons is close to what he'll be, but sharpening the edges of his game, better playmaker, gets to the foul line, 4% more each year over the next 3 seasons. Has compounding interest. I don't know how compounding interest works. So if you're smart, I apologize for that dumb joke. But like he'll, there's reason to believe that they have like whatever young veterans in the roster that can get better, and Thybulle and Ant and Jeremy Grant, who's like firmly just like a good NBA starter, right? But Scoot Henderson's 19. Yusuf Nurkic is the only center on the roster. The rest of the depth is, Shaedon Sharpe, Nazir Little, Jabari Walker, Chris Murray, and Keon Johnson, all young people. This is a rebuilding roster. Like, they might want to be as good as possible, as fast as possible, as Joe Cronin has said. But what they mean by that is as fast as possible. If as fast as possible means 2026, as quickly as they can get to 2026. That's what Joe Cronin means by as fast as possible. But so regardless of what they do, they still need to get bigger. Like for me, 3-4 roster spots. Like I'm saying 3 because maybe they carry an open spot because of the Allen Estates checkbook and their need to maintain flexibility, and by that I mean be a little bit cheaper. But regardless of what they do, they probably need 2 more centers, like 2 more people who can play center, and 1 more person who can play power forward, just for depth. Like you just need it, even if both the back end power forward and third center don't play. You just need that for depth. Period. You need to carry 3 centers in the modern NBA. I think you just have to. The Blazers chose not to last year, and they paid the price for it for an extended stretch. They were really bad, but potentially on purpose. Portland has been linked to a couple guys outside of the league, Dante Hall from Monaco and Eddie Tavares for Real Madrid, both of whom could help. I can't imagine Tavares comes here. He's, he's a little bit older, but he's like playing in the best league in the world in Real Madrid. Like he's one of the best non-NBA clubs that there is literally in the NBA and outside of the NBA, best clubs in the world, non-NBA clubs in the world. But he reportedly, according to the Oregonian, has a $6 million buyout associated with his contract. As far as I understand it, buyouts are not part of the salary cap. So that money is just like from ownership. Are the Blazers really going to pay $6 million extra dollars plus salary to get Tavares to come over here? Maybe, but that seems really unlikely to me. The reason that you have a fat buyout clause like $6 million is because you want that player to stay on the team. I think Real Madrid's going to get their wish. Can't imagine that happens. Dante Hall from Monaco, I know less about his contract situation, but sure, he's like a 6'10" big. He could play for what the Blazers are trying to do. Why not? Sounds like a great option. But even if it's not those two specific gentlemen, I kind of think it'll be like take a flyer type of bigs. Like if they're linked to two guys outside of the league playing in good leagues, the top of the French league and the Spanish league. It's like, yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the way that sort of Cronin has operated recently is that these are, like taking a flyer on folks outside of the league or folks that we, sort of someone like me who just like follows the NBA closely, but not the minor league systems, like don't know about, and like, see if it hits. If it doesn't hit, you're trying to be bad anyways, or young, you're trying to be young anyways and developing. So it's not that big of a deal. Like that would be my guess. But regardless, Dame, no Dame, you still need to get bigger. You need 3 more bigs at a minimum. And then if you were adding a 4th player, I would probably add a veteran point guard to the mix. I wouldn't want to add a point guard that's going to play minutes, because I think Scoot Henderson's going to play like 34 minutes a night, 34, 36 minutes a night. The minutes he doesn't play point guard, Anthony Simons will play point guard and has been the Blazers' backup point guard. And he's like, when he's had the ball in his hands, he's been good. So like giving him more minutes with the ball in his hands as a lead decision maker, he's totally capable of being a 2 in this league. But like Ant has shown to be a capable lead guard in the league. He's not like this crazy great playmaker, but he has improved dramatically on that end. I wouldn't want someone to eat into the backup minutes that isn't Anthony Simons, in part because Shaedon Sharp's going to play a bunch of minutes at the 2. He's going to play minutes at the 3. You want Shaedon Sharp to play 30 minutes a night. It's not a problem with Scoot, Ant, and Sharp rotating those 3 guards and noting that Shaedon Sharp can move up and they can play all 3 together briefly. Like, that's not a problem. All 3 of those dudes can play 32 plus, which has got to be the goal, right? You got to get them on the court and play them a bunch. Anthony Simons, 36 minutes a night. Pencil everyone in after that. Jeremy Grant's going to play about that much, 36 minutes a night. I wouldn't want a point guard to eat into those minutes, but I do think there's some value. And say someone gets, sick for a couple of games and misses a Friday, Sunday weekend, or minor injuries where you miss, 6 games or whatever. Having a vet, like having someone who's like been in the league and proven they can play, the Ish Smiths of the world, and just like, okay, get in and make sure that we like get organized so the young guys can like keep doing their thing. So like Shaedon Sharp has someone to set him up that isn't just like a Keon Johnson, Shaedon Sharp show. If you don't want that, I think there is something to be said for just like, this team's not going to be very good this year. They don't want to be very good this year. Look at the roster. They're not attempting to be competitive in any meaningful way. Give Keon Johnson as many backup point guard minutes as he could possibly stomach. And if he struggles, great. Like that, then that's like part of the plan. But I think obviously the Dame trade, like hanging over all this, the roster's just unfinished. And I think one of the ways you will kind of get a sense of when the Blazers are transitioning to what is next, and maybe if they've, because they're going to be quote unquote patient, but like with the Dame trade, and Joe Cronin says if it takes months, it takes months. I can't imagine this drags on till the trade deadline in February. That seems crazy. I'm having trouble personally from where I sit here today, which is in my basement, thinking that this could drag on into even into the regular season. I think the Blazers are going to get some sort of resolution here at some point over the next month or so to get to find what they want. Like they kind of know what they want, and if there aren't any other offers out there, either the Heat will come up on their offer, the Blazers will come down on their offer, and it'll get done. That is my guess on how this ends. Obviously, 28 other scenarios where teams jump in, but I don't think I don't think Dame has this giant robust market. He's a very specific player. He just celebrated his 33rd birthday. Happy birthday, Dame. He's owed a bunch of money. He's a player that if you think you can win a championship, you trade for. How many teams in the league think they can win a championship next year? Is it more than 6? Okay. How many of those teams, more than 6 teams that think they can win a championship? Let's say 8 right now. So it's 8. How many of the 8 teams that think they can win a championship have what it takes to trade for Dame and a hole at point guard? Short list, right? Short list. And if you are a team that thinks adding Dame would jump you into that list, what is that? Like get to like not quite half, get to 11 maybe, 11 teams in the league. How many of those 11 teams need a point guard? It's a short list. It just seems to me, if you scour the league, narrow window, one specific team, Dame has, used his leverage to make it clear that he only wants to go one place, which has probably killed some of the market a little bit. I think this resolution happens sometime this offseason, and regardless of when it happens, the Blazers have to clean up the rest of this roster and get bigger. And I think one of the ways you'll know that they're kind of they'll either make the trade, add the players, whoever they add, then they make some decisions beyond that. Okay, we've got a couple guys who can play power forward. Now we just need centers. We'll sign some minimum centers off the street. Welcome to the program. Here we go. Or if it really stalls out and the Blazers start like actually adding guys to guaranteed contracts who aren't going to be tradable to this roster, then you'll know that maybe the trade stuff is at impasse. I think that is worth watching. But again, I'll say it for the 1 cajillionth time. I think this just like takes care of itself at some point in August. And by that, I mean, I think Damian Lillard gets traded to the Miami Heat at some point in August. That is my tea leaves reading. I haven't done any new reporting since I have had heard that was likely, but that's like 3.5 weeks ago or whatever. No, not even. It hasn't even been that long with the Dame trade. It's been like a very long 9 days. But yeah, I think this gets done. Okay, enough Dame stuff, enough. Let's talk joy. Let's talk the best of Summer League, my favorite moments from the Blazers in Summer League. That's what we'll do to close the show. Join me in that third segment, won't you? Still a pass first point guard. Still Mike Richmond. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. Portland has some roster decisions to make, and I had some decisions to make, like my favorite moments from NBA Summer League. I watched every single second of the Blazers Summer League. I really did. I watched to the tail end, late because I missed it live because of life. But on record, I watched the tail end of Sunday night's game, searching for a moment that might be my favorite. And I've got 4 that I really enjoyed. These are sort of in order, but sort of not in order. So I got top 4 things, my favorite things from Summer League. Number 4. Jabari Walker's slow motion drives. Jabari Walker was kind of up and down offensively. Sometimes, he shot it well, but not a ton of volume. He had a quiet night in one of the Blazers wins. He never had one of those games where it's like, whoa, I didn't know Jabari Walker could do that. But he's just solid. He does what he does well. I thought asking him to guard Brandon Miller in the game against the Hornets when Miller went off was like a fun challenge for him, the type of thing you want to see young players get asked to do with Summer League. But what I really enjoyed from Jabari Walker was not the shooting, because the shooting was in small doses, but he did shoot well for sure in Vegas. But it's the slow motion drives. Jabari Walker is not an above the rim type of athlete. Like, he's capable of dunking for sure, but when he's on the bounce, like he has, he's kind of a one move, get himself into the paint, use his frame, and he uses his frame to kind of get the ball high, take a little Euro step, a little side step, 1, 2, and finish barely getting off the ground. But he's got great touch around the rim. Like, I thought for me, one of the things I really liked to see from Jabari Walker in Vegas was his soft touch on those slow motion drives. His ability to slow down, because he's not going to speed you up with crazy athleticism, but his ability to slow down, stay in control, use his strength, and then use his nice little touch. He had jump hooks. He had lefty little push shots. He had 2 hands to get over and around people, finishes with a strong right hand pretty well. Jabari Walker slow motion drives, and seeing someone who I think is going to play like regular real rotation minutes when the year starts. Asterisk Damian Lillard trade, but like I enjoyed watching Walker take that step. I think last year in Summer League, he was one of those standouts that was like, hey, Jabari Walker was good enough in summer to see, hey, he might be able to play when they get to the fall. And then when he did have little cameos early in the year, he was like, oh yeah, he's pretty good. And then it became clear that his just decision-making and the shooting, he just wasn't, it's like a second-round pick. It's just like wasn't quite an NBA player yet. Grow a little bit, have more opportunity, see if in year 2 you're ready to be there. Because I thought Walker, the slow motion drive is one of my favorite things from Summer League. Number 2 was Shaedon Sharpe's fourth quarter against the Charlotte Hornets. This was coming off the heels the Blazers' third game, coming off the heels of in game 2, where Sharp was just straight up bad. He was bad. It happens. But he had a stinker of a game. Like, he had a stinker of a game where it's just like, he was bad on offense, kind of like not really getting after it much on defense. It's like, what's going on with him? Like, is he just tired? Like, is he not, is he not in shape to play this level of basketball in the middle of July? Like, oh man, dang, we expect to see more from him. And then he kind of had a quiet first 3 quarters against Charlotte. I think he shot 3 of 11 from the floor. 9 points through 3 quarters. Another, 8 missed field goals, 9 points. It's like, dang, he just hasn't had it in summer. And it's like, I'm not going to overreact. I think he's really good, and I think he's going to be really good. But development is neither guaranteed. It's non-linear and non-guaranteed. So like, sure, maybe this is the swoop down before you come back up. This is the sort of non-linear portion of a 19-year-old becoming a 20-year-old, playing in the league, blah, 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 blah. And then the fourth quarter starts, and a minute into the fourth quarter, he gets a steal and a dunk, and it just like, boom, I'm ready. And then he had 17 points, shot 5 of 6 from the floor, and with 15 seconds left in the game, they played drop coverage against him, and he's like, "You drop, I pop, baby. Like you have to come up to the screen against Shaedon Sharp. Defenses will learn that, but playing drop against him is stupid." And he made sure that the Hornets knew it was stupid, because as soon as he came around the screen, he took a little hop back, not even like a big jump stop, a hop back, just like a little hop back, squared his feet behind the 3-point line. Cash. Blazers go up by 4 with under 15 seconds to play. Ball game. And that then they had to foul him, and he scored 4 more points. But like, at that point, he had 13 points in the fourth quarter, in about 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Like, okay, this is the guy we expected to see. Game on the line, competitive game. I can score. This team can't stop me. His fourth quarter, he had a lefty finish in traffic. He had a driving dunk. Dude's got a lot of skills. I think he has a chance to be a really special player in this league. Like, really, really good. I think, he is sort of that type of athleticism and shooting touch. And if you have both of those items, you have a chance to be very good. Now, obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but a chance to be very, very good. But after a quiet summer, to have him have those 10 minutes against the Hornets, like, yep, that guy has still got it. Okay, my last 2 are about Scoot Henderson, because he was really the big thing for me in Summer League. My first is the 21 minutes that Scoot Henderson played. He got hurt in the third quarter of game 1, but he had 15, 5, and 6 in those first 21 minutes. He didn't shoot great. Like, he was really hot early making his jump shot, and then kind of cooled off a little bit, but 15, 5, and 6 in 21 minutes. Great pace, great feel in the pick and roll, like clearly a high-level player. You want young players to look like, are you one of the best players in Summer League? Immediately checks that box. Like, in the opening 4 minutes he's on the court, it's like, yeah, this is one of the best dudes on the court. No doubt about it. He's 19. He's a rookie. He's played 2 years of professional basketball, and then like, certainly being that has helped him be like more ready than maybe your average teenager who jumps into the Summer League. But like, Scoot looked as advertised, fun and talented and all those things, then gets, bumped on the shoulder by Jabari Smith, and they shut him down, unsurprisingly shut him down for the remainder of Summer League. As soon as he goes back to the locker room, there is no way he's coming back out on the court ever again the whole week. He doesn't. But those 21 minutes, obviously you wish he'd played. You wish he played 4 games and got to see him and all the special things and throw lobs to Shaedon Sharp. And I think Sharp would have benefited greatly from more Scoot minutes. And, the Blazers would probably have won the Summer League championship, because they were one insane lob with 6 seconds left and the lead from winning, from going undefeated and making the semifinals and having a chance to defend their title. But those 21 minutes of Scoot were really special. Like, it's like, okay, this guy's got it. And you could, like, if you were excited about him, he confirmed all your excitements. If you're a little nervous about him, it's like, don't worry about me. But my favorite moment of Summer League was the Scoot interview. The Blazers' 4th game against the Orlando Magic. While the Blazers were putting together an absolute dominant second quarter, just rolling over the Magic, Scoot Henderson got on the broadcast, sat on the end of the bench, and then eventually stood on the end of the bench and hyped up his teammates while they thrashed a undermanned Magic team without their 2 lottery picks in the lineup. 45-19 at the break. Scoot Henderson is on the mic for like the whole run that blows the game open and makes it an absolute beatdown. And he's yelling for everybody. He's yelling for Michael DeVoe. He's yelling for Ryan Rupert. He's getting hyped about Baji. He's getting hyped about Duop Reith. He's getting hyped about Shaden Sharp. He's coaching Shaden Sharp up to run back in transition. Like all of this while answering questions from ESPN. Dude has a special type of charisma. I think he is just wired to be an absolute star in the league. He has the physical gifts and the sort of personality traits that is absolutely what a star looks like. Scoot is going to be a star in the league. I have no doubt about it. And that interview was just like, okay, this kid is fun. This young man is fun. And it's like, it's just, if you've been following this saga with me, and I hope you have, I appreciate it. Like, you've been following this saga with me all summer. It's like, you needed a moment of just like, just fun, just like uncontroversial, just like truly a thing that you could enjoy. And Scoot Henderson gave you that with that interview. He started to give it to you with those 21 minutes of basketball, but that interview was like, and particularly him yelling for Ryan Rupert getting a steal and saying cookies on the broadcast, like, it's so fun, so fun. I think those are my favorite parts of Summer League. Jabari Walker's slow-mo game, Shaden Sharp's fourth quarter where all the skills were on display, and Scoot Henderson showing the types of star traits that he has, both on the court and then off the court. There is a great deal of uncertainty ahead for the Blazers, but I think, and I've said this a bunch, I think they're in an okay spot, except for the giant thing hanging over them, right? It's like they have to trade one of the best players in franchise history. For me, like, at worst, the second best player in franchise history. I can just keep it there. Is him and Drexler. Bill Walton didn't play long enough. Longevity matters. But like, they're gonna have to trade a franchise icon, a pillar of the last decade of basketball, and that part stinks. But if you just kind of shuffle that aside, compartmentalize that a little bit, the foundation is fun. Every time is good. Shaden Sharp is gonna be good. Scoot Henderson might be really good. Like, they have the makings of, they have a great jump start on the rebuild, and whatever they do next will inform how, from the initial jump start that has taken 2 full years, to be clear, but 2 full years, kind of getting ahead of the game, the next step they take will inform how far they go on this rebuild, how quickly they accelerate it. And guess what? We'll cover it all right here, 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the show. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.